Welcome to the Daily Bite. I'm your host, Pastor Steve Andrews. Today's text is Psalm 82, a psalm of Asaph. God has taken his place in the divine council. In the midst of the gods he holds judgment. How long will you judge unjustly, and show partiality to the wicked? Selah. Give justice to the weak and the fatherless. Maintain the right of the afflicted and the destitute. Rescue the weak and the needy. Deliver them from the hand of the wicked. They have neither knowledge nor understanding. They walk about in darkness. All the foundations of the earth are shaken. I said, you are gods, sons of the Most High, all of you. Nevertheless, like men you shall die and fall like any prince. Arise, O God, judge the earth, for you shall inherit all the nations. This is the word of the Lord. This is a tough opening to this psalm from Asaph, so we're almost done with his psalms. We have one more tomorrow from him. 12 of the psalms in total. But what's he talking about here in verse 1 right out of the gate? God has taken his place in the divine council. In the midst of the gods, he holds judgment. Maybe 3 suggestions for you. And it's a short psalm, so you read it through with all 3. A comparison of God with the others. Not that there are any others, but the world worships false gods. Babylon had Bel, Marduk. The Canaanites had Baal. The various other tribes around them, you've got Chemosh and Molech, Asherah. And then there's all the gods of the Egyptians, like Ra. Gods are everywhere. They're all fake. We know this. Dagon's little statue falls over before the ark of God. So perhaps this is Asaph writing this psalm in a way mocking the pagan faiths of this world. Here's God sitting in the divine council with all these other gods, except there aren't any, so he's alone, and he challenges them for their lack of ability to care for those who are in need. And so they will perish, they will die. Verse 6 and 7. And yet Asaph calls upon God to arise because he is God, he is faithful, and judge the earth, help his people. That's option 1. Option 2 sees the divine council as God's heavenly throne room, which is complete with the angels that come to it. In the midst of the gods he holds judgment would then be a reference not to gods as we would use the word, but angels. In which case, both the good angels and the fallen angels would be in mind, such as Satan himself. In Job chapter 1 and in Job chapter 2, we see the devil enter into the heavenly throne room of God, into the divine council, and make accusations against Job. In which case, well, these fallen angels who are ruling over various parts of the earth, they're doing a terrible job at it. And they will stand judgment before the Lord for what they have done, so he will cast them out just like men. As men die, they'll die. In this case, we'd have to see that as a reference to the second death, that the Lord has prepared hell for the devil and his angels, as Jesus says in Matthew chapter 25, verse 41. And then again, Asaph calling on God to arise and be faithful. The third option is to take this divine counsel as God and the way he rules among men. This is 1 Samuel 8, Daniel chapter 4, Romans chapter 13, the idea that the Lord gives men governing authority. The Lord is the one who rises nations, tears down nations. The Lord is the one who puts men in power. And as he has granted them such authority, they will have to answer to him someday for how they have wielded their authority. And so here, in judgment with them, he judges them, these earthly governors, for their failure to care for those who are in need. And even though they are rulers, even though they have power unlike that of other men, nevertheless, like men you shall die, and fall like any prince. This is the way most commentaries would take this psalm, is in regards to earthly rulers, earthly judges, kings, governors, and the like. But giving you the three different ways I think that we could take this. In any case, the point is quite clear. There is only one who provides for his creation. There is only one who cares for this earth, and that is God himself. So whether this is the emptiness of false gods, the despicable way of the fallen angels, the demons, or if it is the power-hungry lack of care from earthly men, these classes of people who are in need, they're not being helped. They're not being rescued. Instead, they judge in favor of the wicked. So they'll take a bribe, gets them ahead. Or, if it's the demons, they just prefer the wicked anyway. Instead of giving justice to the weak, to the one who cannot help himself, instead of giving justice to the fatherless. Now, ESV's translation in verse 3 says, maintain the right of the afflicted. Not the best translation of that phrase. It is simply the Hebrew verb that comes from the Hebrew noun for righteousness. Tzedakah, to be righteousness, righteous. It's not to say that the afflicted have rights. The Bible is not about rights. But instead, that verb would better be translated, and is translated in other translations. NASB, for example, says, do justice to the afflicted. Be just, be righteous to these who are in need. To say that maintain the right of the afflicted makes it sound like they have rights of certain kinds. We don't. We all deserve death. That's all we deserve. The Lord cares about justice. That what is good, what is true, what is faithful is done. So don't take a bribe. Don't be partial. Don't side with the rich over the poor or the poor over the rich. Don't look to get ahead by your acts. Just care for people. If you see somebody who's in need, help them. If you see somebody that needs to be lifted up, lift them up. Rescue the weak and the needy. This is Matthew chapter 25 as well, by the way. This is what Jesus teaches to his disciples about the final judgment. Starting at verse 31. When the Son of Man comes in his glory, and all the angels with him, then he will sit on his glorious throne. Before him will be gathered all the nations, and he will separate people one from another as a shepherd separates the sheep from the goats. And he will place the sheep on his right, but the goats on the left. Then the king will say to those on his right, come, you who are blessed by my Father, inherit the kingdom prepared for you from the foundation of the world. For I was hungry, and you gave me food. I was thirsty, and you gave me drink. I was a stranger, and you welcomed me. I was naked, and you clothed me. I was sick, and you visited me. I was in prison, and you came to me. Then the righteous will answer him, saying, Lord, when did we see you hungry and feed you, or thirsty and give you drink? When did we see you a stranger and welcome you, or naked and clothe you? When did we see you sick or in prison and visit you? And the king will answer them, truly I say to you, as you did it to one of the least of these my brothers, you did it to me. Then he will say to those on his left, depart from me, you cursed, into the eternal fire prepared for the devil and his angels. For I was hungry, and you gave me no food. I was thirsty, and you gave me no drink. I was a stranger, and you did not welcome me, naked, and you did not clothe me, sick and in prison, and you did not visit me. Then they also will answer, saying, Lord, when did we see you hungry or thirsty or a stranger or naked or sick or in prison, and did not minister to you? Then he will answer them, saying, Truly I say to you, as you did not do it to one of the least of these, you did not do it to me. And these will go away into eternal punishment, but the righteous into eternal life. Pretty simple teaching of Jesus. Love your neighbor. Care for the people around you. If you have the ability to help somebody, help them. Encourage your neighbor. Within the church especially, encourage your brothers in Christ in their faith. Now, a family conversation around this topic would be, how does God care for these people? And ultimately, that was covered in Matthew 25, just the glimpse at the beginning, when the Son of Man comes in his glory. All the angels with him, he will sit on his glorious throne. Jesus reigns. Jesus is our King, the one who died for us and the one who rose for us. He will rescue us from the evil that is around us, sin, death, and the devil, and he already has. He's already defeated them. He's already conquered them, and he's done it for you. We are the needy. We are the broken. We are the afflicted, but Christ has rescued us. Now, we could also talk, just first article of creation kind of thing, the idea of God's provision and his care, that he gives us all that we need to support this body and life. In verse 5, they have neither knowledge nor understanding. They walk about in darkness. All the foundations of the earth are shaken. Most take that foundations of the earth here to be about society, rather than the literal idea of the creation itself. That just because man is unjust, because these earthly rulers or even demons are doing wicked things that they ought not do, the earth itself is not shaking. But that our societies fall apart. When man does not love his neighbor, society comes apart. Sin breaks stuff. The love of God is what binds stuff together. There's a lot of wisdom, I think, in that understanding of this passage. So the Lord judges them. Whoever the them is, right? Whoever you want to see the gods as in this text. If it's the false gods of the world, it seems less likely because they wouldn't be able to die. They don't exist. Demons, fallen angels, it's a possibility here. They will be cast into the pit of hell forever. The second death, as Revelation calls it. But it does seem most likely earthly judges, earthly rulers, earthly kings is who the Lord is talking about, who do often view themselves as gods in history. They will fall. They will perish. Nonetheless, whoever it is that God is rebuking here, Asaph, our psalmist, reaches out, calls out to God for help. For you shall inherit all the nations. When Christ returns, every knee will bow and every tongue confess that Jesus is Lord. Philippians 2, you also have the picture multiple times in Revelation that people will come to Jesus from every tribe, nation, people, language, etc. Usually bulks of 4 there, but not always the same set. Everyone throughout the world has had the good news shared with them. Christ died to forgive all people. And so on the last day, we will see people from all over entering into the paradise that Christ has prepared for us. Unfortunately, not everyone, because there are still those who reject the good gifts that Christ has given, the help as he came to help the earth. Now, maybe a way to end this prayer, as there's a lot of focus on those who are in need. Who is in need around your family? Do you have any neighbors you know who are hurting? Pray to the Lord for those people, and also talk about opportunities that you may have to serve them, to love them, to encourage them this day.